The second game of the ALCS between the Astros and the Rays, and the first game of the NLCS between the Dodgers and the Braves, both wrapped up today, and it was the Rays winning their matchup and the Braves winning their game. In this video, I'm going to go over those two games and then my predictions for the rest of this series. If you guys like these kind of videos, non-Mets, non-Yankees, talking about other teams, multiple teams, make sure to hit the like button so I know these are videos that you want. This way, staying up past midnight and talking and editing and all this other stuff makes me know that that kind of video is worth it, because I could have done an NFL video. Would you want to have seen that instead? You can comment that down below. Also, you can comment, what have you thought about these MLB playoffs? What have you thought about the championship series so far? And then, last but I'm trying to ask too much here, but you also hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. It makes my day. Always greatly appreciated. So let's hop right into it. Let's start with the National League, because that's the game that wrapped up more recently. The Dodgers and the Braves. And here's what I will say. Before we break down this game, as a Met fan, a disclaimer, I am officially terrified of the Atlanta Braves. Their team is crazy stacked right now. And what really concerns me is the young starting pitching they have, because we know that starting pitching is massive. That's probably going to be the deciding factor in maybe both these series, definitely in the American League. But if you have a lot of quality starting pitching, it's going to take you far places. And when we look at recent championships, big-time starting pitching, multiple good starters, that's a main ingredient in a championship team in Major League Baseball. The Atlanta Braves are well on their way to establishing that. They already have Mike Soroka, who is a tremendous pitcher who's obviously out for the year. They have Max Fried, who's emerging as a star. He proved it again tonight. Ian Anderson, rookie, who's looking great. And then they have really high expectations for Kyle Wright. So when you already have those four young starters, oh my gosh. And also, you have a good young core of hitters, not to mention Ronald Acuna Jr., one of the better players in baseball. Ozzie Albies, a tremendous player. We saw Austin Riley hit a big home run in this game. You also have Dansby Swanson. You have Travis d'Arnaud playing on another planet. Watching that Marlins series, every time d'Arnaud got a big hit, I just turned the game off and wanted to throw up, because he looks like such a dramatically different player. Because with the Mets, he had his good moments, he had his bad moments. They got rid of him probably too early, but Dodgers get him, no good. Rays get him, pretty good, but not good enough for them to be like, oh my gosh, we have to keep this guy. So the Braves pick him up, and he becomes the best catcher in baseball offensively. So that just has to drive you nuts. And then Freddie Freeman, one of the better players in baseball, might win the National League MVP. Also have Marcell Ozuna. It seems like whatever the Braves do, it's the right move. They signed Josh Donaldson to a one-year deal last year. Donaldson obviously had great years with Toronto, moved to Cleveland for a year, didn't look too great. It looks like he may be, past his prime compared to his MVP year. But Josh Donaldson has an amazing year for the Braves, and he gets a massive deal from the Twins because of how good a year he had. So the Braves are like, oh, we need a new replacement. Let's just sign Marcell Ozuna. Hasn't been great with the Cardinals, but whatever. Let's sign him. Amazing. Adam Duvall, amazing. So, literally every player the Braves get, tremendous, So the fact that they have this young starting pitching, they have all these hitters. Then, if that isn't enough, they also have a good bullpen, because, oh my gosh, teams in National League East struggle with bullpens. So what do the Braves do? Get a bunch of relievers. Crazy concept. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? So they get Chris Martin, who has an excellent game today. Will Smith, who has an excellent game today. The Mets should decide. Mark Melancon, who has a great game. They also have Shane Green. They have Darren O'Day, who the Mets should have had for a million years, but they never got him. So, they just have reliever after reliever. Good starting pitching. Good hitting. Oh my gosh. And so many of these guys, again, are young. And the Braves are showing a willingness to win, a willingness to keep these guys, to make these free agency signings, getting the Marcell Ozuna, getting the Will Smith, making the trades for these other players. The Braves are doing what it takes to win a freaking championship, which the Mets time and time again have failed to do. I know they got Steve Cohen, but I don't understand. I'm at a loss for words, because there is no way Steve Cohen, no matter how much money he has, could put together a team that is anywhere close to rivaling the Atlanta Braves team. Because you know what? You have Mike Soroka versus Jacob deGrom, and then you have who against all these other good young pitchers for the Braves? Mets have nobody. Lugo, he's an okay starter. David Pearson, okay starter. Noah Syndergaard, inconsistent and hurt. And then don't forget, the Mets have to fill out those other three rotation spots. Enough about the Mets. Let's talk about this Braves-Dodgers game. So, when you knew that Max Fried's going to start, you know you're in for a tough night if you are the Los Angeles Dodgers. And the Dodgers have been great so far in this postseason. I've talked about them a lot. There's obviously extremely high expectations for this Dodgers team after failing to win a World Series despite having so much talent and constantly being in the playoffs. It is time for the Dodgers to close the deal and get it done. And so far in their first couple of series, they've looked really good. Tonight, not so much. And, so we knew Max Fried was going to pitch a really good game, and that's exactly what he did. The Los Angeles Dodgers were completely shut down by Fried, who goes 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, the Kike Hernandez home run, a couple of walks. Not Fried's best outing, but still really, really good. And then followed up by that great Braves bullpen. Chris Martin, perfect inning. Will Smith, perfect inning. Mark Melancon, perfect inning. And things got out of hand for the Dodgers late. Walker Buehler gives you a pretty good game. 5 innings, 3 hits. The 5 walks you don't love, though. I mean, Walker Buehler, that cannot happen. This is a guy who, the last couple years has been talked about a lot, have a really bright future as far as National League starting pitchers. Buehler yet to fully prove it because this is a bit of a down year for him compared to last year. So, I mean, giving up that many base runners, that's, pretty tough to do, especially against this Braves team to only give up 1 run. I mean, you're like, oh my gosh, we're so lucky. We really have a chance in this game. Let's make it happen against the Braves bullpen. And the Dodgers were not able to do it. And the Dodgers going to other guys like Brusdar Graterol, who gives you a good inning. Dustin May gives a pretty good inning. Victor Gonzalez gets an out. And then Blake Treinen. Things went really downhill when they brought him in. I know Blake Treinen, he's a guy that, another guy I kind of want the Mets to get, because the Mets need bullpen so badly. I kind of want to take anybody that's had good years. And we know Blake Treinen had a great year with the Athletics. Then he had a bad year. Then this year, still is not that same pitcher that he once was. I mean, Blake Treinen had such a tremendous year with the Oakland Athletics a couple years ago. It's pretty much impossible to match that kind of a season again. So Blake Treinen has definitely been on the downtrend. Same with Jake McGee compared to his days with the Rays. He's not the reliever he once was. So both those guys give up runs late in the 9th inning, capped off by a big Austin Riley home run that really got things started. Braves were able to drive in a few more runs and win this game 5-1. So not exactly a good start for Los Angeles Dodgers here in Game 1. And it only gets tougher because, again, not many teams, if any teams, the only team that probably could match up with this Braves right now are the team that's probably going to face them in the World Series, which would be the Rays. But the next matchup, Ian Anderson, Clayton Kershaw, he's good, obviously. Playoffs, little inconsistent, we know that. But then after that, I mean, do you trust who's going to match up against Kyle Wright and just this bullpen that the Braves have and just so many hitters that could go off at any time they could score just so many runs, and it literally could be anybody in the lineup? That doesn't sound too good. Mookie Betts cannot take the 0-4. And Cody Bellinger's had a down year all year. He takes the 0-4. I mean, those are your 2 big-time star players. You can't have them. Corey Seager gives you a hit, put a couple strikeouts. Turner hit a strikeout. You see all these strikeouts. Max Muncy, multiple strikeouts. Will Smith, multiple strikeouts. Kike, a strikeout. Chris Taylor, a strikeout. You know who this reminds me a lot of? The Dodgers' performance kind of reminds me of the team that got eliminated a few days ago, the New York Yankees, where a team that has a lot of expectations, but if you strike out this much, you're not going to be able to beat these better teams like the Braves or in the Yankees case when they faced the Rays. And let's get to the Rays because they had their second game of the series against the Houston Astros. They won the first game and they won the second game. And what's so important for this Rays team, again, is the starting pitching. And Blake Snell and Charlie Morton were not amazing, but you know what? They got out of jam after jam after jam. Charlie Morton giving up 5 hits in 5 innings with a walk. Astros had a ton of base runners on. Even the 9th inning, they had the bases low. I know that wasn't against Charlie Morton. It was against Nick Anderson, which definitely was surprising because Nick Anderson had a tremendous year with the Rays. He had been doing really good in this postseason so far. But, once again, able to get out of it. So, we just see, again, time and time, year after year, what you need for a championship team. Good starting pitching, obviously good bullpen, but it's timely hitting, and it's hitting with runners on base. It's not having a bunch of home run hitters, not having a bunch of all-or-nothing hitters. It's guys that can hit with runners on base. At Tampa Bay, what they do is they just have anyone that can step up at any given time. Because you know what? Today it was Manuel Margot and Mike Zunino. But next day, it could be, Austin Meadows and somebody else. Randy Arozarena, of course. You know what I mean? So that's the thing about this Rays team. With their starting pitching, with their bullpen, and kind of with the Braves. But just guys that step up at any given time. Maybe one day it's going to be Kevin Kiermaier or Michael Perez like he did against the Yankees. Just when stuff like that happens, these teams become pretty much unbeatable. And Lance McCullers gave the Astros a pretty good game. That big ever from Altuve early that led to the home run from Manuel Margot. That was a big deal. Also, Margot made probably the catch of the year, in my opinion, when he robbed George Springer, which was a foul ball. But the way Margot jumped, flipped into the stands, pretty much flipped again and was able to hold on to it. That was really impressive. So the Rays now have a 2-0 lead in this series against the Astros. And then they have Tyler Glasnow taking them out. Like, the Astros can't match up with him. And that's game 3. So, I mean, the Rays with this kind of rotation, that kind of bullpen, the offense stepping up at any given time, Astros leaving runners on base, being all nothing. You know, we saw Correa hit a really nice home run in this game. All that, it doesn't matter because if you leave runners on base inning after inning after inning, there's no way you're going to beat the Rays because the Rays just have a way of getting just enough, and with the kind of caliber pitching they have, it's all they need. They don't need a shootout. They don't need to beat you by a bunch. They'll beat you 2-1, 3-2. And in this game, 4-2. So they show you just these different ways of winning, the right way to win. Don't need a high payroll. You just need good players. And you know what? You just need a lot of them because not just a couple good guys, but it's guys that are good on a daily basis. And that's how you become a team that survives a weird season like this. 60 games, 7-inning doubleheaders, all these new rules. When you have a team that is that deep, that's how you win games. So it looks like we're well on our way to a World Series matchup of the Rays and the Braves because this Dodgers team, it looks like there's just going to be a failure again because who knows? I just could sense Kenley Jansen blowing a big game in this series or something like that because the Dodgers always find a way to not meet expectations, very similar to what we saw from the New York Yankees last week. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and until the next one, be safe, be smart, be healthy, and have a good one, everyone.